Hey, what's up, guys? Little man with a big opinion here. So, on my way to pick up some groceries, doing a little bit of grocery shopping, and a thought occurred to me that prompted me to make another video. Um, and for this video, I am going to discuss one of the most important things that I have in my prepping arsenal. Uh, I call it my big book of knowledge, and I will kind of show y'all in future videos, different things that I've printed out and put in there. But essentially what it is I've got it's either a 2.5-inch or a 3-inch binder that, I find pictures of useful information. I find articles, I find how-to guides, and I print them out. And how this book started was I was given a binder when I was going through my training to be an assistant scoutmaster. And the course is called Introduction to Outdoor Leadership Skills. And essentially what the class is saying is you don't need to be able to know everything in there to teach, the scouts. You just need to be able to, show them and guide them how to do it. So they don't expect you to be able to tie every single knot and how to set up every single kind of tent. But they expect you to know when you don't quite have the answer, and you can kind of go to your Scoutmaster dictionary and look up the answers. And you don't have to pay for, the paper part of the course. And if you're a part of a Boy Scout unit, there is like an online video course for it that if you haven't taken it, or even if you're not involved in scouting, I think it's a good set of videos to watch. You can just kind of ignore the part of, actively being a member of the Boy Scouts. But in my book, it's got all the different knots and ways that, they're useful. It's got first aid and how to teach, how to, apply a neckerchief to be a splint, how to make a stretcher, and then, it goes through where's a good spot to set up a tent. A bunch of basic information that, I would say that I knew about 95% of because I had just recently, finished scouting. I'm only 6 years past actually being in the program. But for many of the adult leaders, they're typically in their late 30s, early 40s. This is information that is lost to them because they haven't been in scouting for a few decades, or when adult leaders had never been a part of scouting. It's useful information. And I say that also goes for just, the general American population. There's information in there that is extremely useful. And so I would say that's the first, the only money you're going to spend on, this, I call it my big book of knowledge. Some people have called it their prepper dictionary. or their encyclopedia for SHTF. That's where mine first started, and it has grown into, including when to plant different things for my area. I've only lived here for about a year and a half, and it's a much different growing season than Corpus Christi. It's probably a much different growing season than Minnesota and Florida and all these different places. Um, so when you go out and buy these generic prepping books, a lot of the information is useful in them. But really, unless a person makes a book that lives in Dallas, Texas, uh, and puts all this information in it, it's probably going to have stuff that is good information, but it's not good information for myself. And so, I think these different things should be printed out for yourself. So your growing season, print out, different stitching patterns for different materials. Print out, how to do basic carpentry, basic plumbing. I have 3 or 4 different ways to make a water filtration system, using different items and different quantities. It's got, generic recipes that can be applied for, different amounts of prepping material. Mostly because you learn a skill, you practice that skill, and then you kind of, put it on your back burner if it's not something you're going to do every single day. For the most part, we have clean drinking water, and I've got water filters and stuff. But, maybe I'll forget something. Maybe a certain quantity needs to be adjusted. And I don't remember, I don't expect anyone and everyone, even within their profession, to be a subject matter expert all the time. It's perfectly acceptable to say, I'll figure that answer out and I'll get back to you. It's perfectly acceptable to say, I'm not 100% certain, so let me square out this information. Or I print stuff out and put it in this binder for things that I would like to learn in the future, but I think they have, practical, real world scenarios, and I might not have access to internet to look that up later. I remember my dad got a suture kit and he did some practicing with it, and that's in his realm of useful information. I have not done anything with it. I haven't even bought a suture kit, but I've got a couple pages in there on how to sew up lacerations and things like that, because one day when it finally comes to the point where I'll have to use that information, I might not have the ability to look it up and figure it out. So whole point of this video is knowledge. Knowledge is power, knowledge is king. Darwin always said it's the survival of the fittest. And other people have kind of come out and said, I think it's survival of the most adaptable. So, the people that are learning from mistakes and, adjusting are probably going to fare better than the people that, are just going to muscle through all these different situations. So if y'all would like, I can just start on the first chapter in this book, or first unit, whatever you want to call it, and kind of go through what I have in there to give you ideas. And that can kind of turn into a small video series. If you didn't check out my last video, you should probably go check that one out. It talks about this winter not really being anything, different, as in much colder or much warmer, but the prices of fuel sources and electricity to keep yourself warm to the same level of last year in some categories has gone up to 27%. So I talked about alternatives and ways we can survive and get through that. So check that video out. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you enjoy what I'm doing with my channel, then consider subscribing. And lastly, if you got a friend or family member that would benefit from the discussions that we have in these videos, then go ahead and share a link to this channel with them. And with that being said, I'll catch you in the next one.